when you're equipping yourself for marriage and equipping yourself for dating, which is the more important part, to equip yourself for dating. When you are doing this, remember, you are a good thing.
All right. Welcome back. Whether you're near or you're far, whether you're at home or driving in your car, whether you're on the subway, night or day, in the same way, we're glad that you're here. From the moment you said I do to happily ever after, we want to say what's up. This is Marriage Matters. All right.
Yeah.
And again, I just want to take time to say thanks, man, for following and listening. And we definitely been enjoying the conversations. We hope you have been too as well. And again, man, I just, let me tell you, I think about certain marriages in the manual that I look at from the beginning. You have these marriages that you see, like Priscilla and Aquila, who were working together. You see great marriages, and you see Adam and Eve before things went bad. I'll tell you, you know what? If the man that I'm about to introduce, I think if he was in the garden, Adam and Eve, that would never happen. Just his counsel, his 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 sharpness, his penmanship. He would have said, "Listen, Adam, listen, no, but he wasn't there, and we are where we are. I'm just saying, though, if he was there, probably with his marital counsel and experience, probably wouldn't have happened." Ladies and gentlemen, none other than Mr. Arthurs, right? What's up, sir?
Right here, man. That's a rough introduction. Yeah. Interesting point.
It's just giving honor where honor is due, sir.
Yeah. Somewhere along the line, somebody would have eaten, no?
Somewhere along the lines, someone would have eaten a lot of
what
times.
They should not have eaten.
What they should not have eaten. And you know what? In many ways, we get an Eden today, and sometimes we mess up our quote unquote Eden, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people say, man, if Adam and Eve didn't do that, we wouldn't have been here. And I'm like,
yeah,
if you were Adam and Eve, you probably would have done the same thing, because I probably would have done the same thing.
Yep. Well, the interesting thing with that is, when Adam, if someone else ate it, it wouldn't have been as big a problem. You would have had a mix of people on earth.
Okay.
So the same thing would have had to happen. Somebody would have to die that was innocent to cover for what happened. But because Adam ate it, and everybody is inside Adam, the same way all a man's children, they're inside him in the form of spermatozoa. So when Adam ate it, then he gave away everybody. But so if he did not eat it, we would have had two types of elements on the earth: those who were able to live in the garden, and those who would have had to stay outside so they didn't eat of that fruit, no, and stayed in the same condition. Well, I guess that's for another topic, no?
Yeah, that's for another topic by itself, and that definitely would have given us a lot of sessions by itself.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, today we're gonna jump into prepare and preparedness, and we're gonna be looking at part one, because listen, as we have been just kind of scratching the surface a little bit, we realize this preparedness, it wouldn't be fair. It wouldn't be fair to you if we did this in one session. And so we're going to be looking at preparedness part one, ladies first. All right. Because in keeping, we are gentlemen over here. At least we strive to be. We practice, we try. And so we want to keep the ladies first. All right. And that swings both ways, right? because we want to keep the ladies first, but we're going to talk about preparedness for the ladies first.
That's right. That's right.
And so, I want to get right into it, my brother. I'm going to kick it over to you for you to maybe give us a little bit of introduction and what are some of the things that come to your mind and your heart when it comes to preparedness for the ladies first when we're thinking about marriage?
I enjoy very greatly this topic, and being prepared says a number of things. I would dare say that it might be the most important of the 4 P's that we are looking at, and so it deserves, as you said earlier, its own time, and for its time to be fully fleshed out and utilized, because preparedness is the key. You prepare because of an understanding. You understand what can happen, what will happen. You understand what is supposed to happen. And because of this understanding, then you prepare. Preparedness prevents certain things from happening.
Yes, I like
especially
that.
within your grasp. Unpreparedness can cause unwanted things to happen. And so the importance of understanding what you are preparing for and why you are preparing. So you could go to the end of what you want to build, and once you know what you want to build, then you prepare. You could go to the end of what you don't want to happen, and you go back and then you prepare for it. For example, if you don't want a burglar to break in your house easily, then that's the end result that you want. And in preparation now, you will spend extra money to purchase maybe bars, metal bars that you would put on your windows and your doors, to help to prevent this. You are preparing, but your preparation came from the knowledge of what you did not want or what you wanted. There's a place in the manual, 2 places in the manual, where the female is told that she should obey her husband in everything, and that she should submit herself to her husband the way that the church submits itself to, or a religious person submits that person's self to whatever deity they worship or serve. And there are also scriptures that speak about the woman's desire being for her husband, and that the husband will rule over her. Now, when I think of statements such as these, it causes a level of uneasiness, and it magnifies this great need for great preparedness. Because if you are going to submit yourself to someone, if someone is going to rule over you, you want to make sure that if you have the power to choose which someone you want, that you'll be very, very careful to choose someone that when it's time for this ruling over you to happen, when it's time for you to submit and to obey, that it will be someone that, and I was thinking not to use this word, but I'm just going to say that it will be someone that will not be a rascal.
Yeah.
You want it to be someone that will not be a murderer, someone that will not be a sexual abuser, someone that will not be a drunkard, someone that is not lazy and does not want to work, someone that understands how to read women and to read the language that women speak. And so if you start from the end there, then you start with the end in mind, you can go back to the beginning and prepare yourself. And so this is the premise that preparation is set on and should be set on. And that there goes the question. So how do women prepare? Maybe I should throw that one back at you. Do you have a...
Well, yeah, I think, I want to start just with something very, very simple but profound from the manual that says he made them male and female. He made them. Right? He made them. And I love that it distinguished male and female. And we said for today that we want to talk about the female first, the ladies first. And I want to make sure to be careful that we are going to deal with the men separately. And so we're not here trying to throw down a gauntlet on the ladies. We're simply wanting to provide song advice to you that can be helpful for you. All right. But that's that the manufacturer made. I like that very much because it speaks to intentionality, it speaks to purpose, it speaks to specific things in how you are made and how he still yet wants to prepare, how you ought to be prepared for the institution of marriage and for relationship. You talked about a house earlier, and I there's a structure being built close to where I live, and so as they were putting up the rafters and the beams and all of that thing, the one of the gentlemen said, I see the heels or the straps, so make sure the hurricane clips are on. And he was insisting on the hurricane clips, how important the straps are good, but these clips, they need the clips, because if you don't, a simple detail like that being missed could cause great expense in the future. And so as you were talking about that, and the age-old adage, right? If you fail to prepare, you prepare to fail.
That's right.
All right. And so when I think about a woman being prepared, and I recall one of the things that we discussed earlier was them being very observant, and not necessarily being observant to the outward necessarily. Though the outward is not a bad thing to observe, all right? There's nothing wrong with being attracted. There's nothing wrong with wanting to make sure this guy has it together and can take care of himself. I mean, for a lack of better words, we would say, no woman wants a ragamuffin kind of guy. But but the observing goes beyond the outward. It goes beyond the physical. It goes to something more than that. I think it goes to the character. And so I think that's where I would begin to say today, she should be observant, of course, like I said, beyond the surface, but to the character of the brother, the gentleman that she's so pursuing.
Very well put. Very well put. Yeah. I agree with you. The preparing makes observation one of the key aspects, and probably the basis or the DNA that makes up what a woman should do. See, preparing allows you to choose wisely. We are making a decision here, or you as a woman, a viewer, you are making a decision that has to be a wise decision. It cannot be a decision that is based on passion and lust, and as you mentioned earlier, looks, appearance, etc. It has to be a wise decision, and wise decisions go deep. So let's begin also add to that. Once you are a wife, this means once you say I do, or if you decide that you will live with this person, I consider you a wife also. Maybe not a legal wife, but a wife nevertheless also. In Belize, we say you're a common law wife. And after 5 years, you get all the benefits that a wife would get by Belizean law. Whether you're married or not is not the point here. The point is that once you say I do and you decide to live with this person, then you fall under the category of a wife. And the manual is very, very clear. Once you are a wife, you are a good thing. It doesn't say if you're a wife and you're not quarrelsome, if you're a wife and you're not lazy, if you're a wife and you like to bathe, there's no condition there. It says once you are a wife, you are a good thing. So that is the first thing a woman has to be able to understand in preparing herself. Because you will hear all kind of stories. You're not good enough. You're not educated enough. You can't cook. You're and these all fall into the background when you become a wife. So a wife is a good thing. And this is the first thing that a wife has to understand. So now when you are equipping yourself for marriage and equipping yourself for dating, which is the more important part, to equip yourself for dating. When you are doing this, remember, you are a good thing.
I like that.
Remember.
Man. Yeah, go ahead. I just say anything. I want to talk. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I see you have a thought there, so go ahead.
Nah, I like that because especially in the time we're living in, where there are many platforms that are seeking to define a real woman, a real man, compatibility, alpha male, beta male, and if you are a woman of such income, how can you think to be? I mean, these are some of the things that are out there. Some of the garbage that's being peddled in our generation is that you, if you're a woman who has an associate and you only make $20,000 a year, how you can expect to marry a man that has a master's and is bringing maybe over 100K? It doesn't work.
It's ridiculous.
And these are some of the things that are being peddled, some of the foolishness that I'm gonna call it bold and call it foolishness, because you are reducing the value of a woman to external things. And that's such a great point in this time where they're actually giving women, and I've seen it, and it breaks my heart to see some of these guys they have their male talk show, and they bring in these women and they ridicule them, and they would rate them and say, you on a scale to 1 to 10, you're a 5, you're a 4. And I'm saying, on what standard? By what standard, sir? By what value? And by the way, sir, where's your marriage today? Where's your relationship today? And if you check it out, it's nowhere good. It is some of them don't even have a successful one. And so I'm like, you don't even have a proper place to even be speaking from. And so you want to come and be rating and valuing women. So I just had to touch on that, because that's such a strong point that I feel our women need to hear today, that you are a good thing, you have value. All right. And that value goes beyond your body. It goes beyond your education. These things are valuable. We're not saying go get it, right? But just to know that you are a good thing. Sorry my brother.
Very good. No, that's very good. It's important for us to get this message out for men to hear and women to hear. So even in helping women to understand how to prepare, it indirectly tells the man what is his responsibility in preparing. So this is very good. I'll give you a word that defines what you just said, and it is called gaslighting. Whenever a man speaks this way, it is in ignorance, lack of knowledge, and he is actually gaslighting this woman. Why is it gaslighting? Why is it that he's blaming her for something that is his fault, his responsibility? You see, according to the manufacturer, it is not the woman's responsibility, or I should say her curse, to work. It is the man's curse. So when a man will say to a woman, you are not even making this up, wait, that is not her responsibility. As a woman, yes, you need to work, you need to take care of yourself, but the minute you become a wife, number one, you're a good thing. Number two, it is your husband that is cursed with the the responsibility to work. So how can he turn around and say, if you're not making this amount of money, then you're not good enough? Wait, that is your responsibility. That is one of the first things that a wife should observe. One of the many things I should say that a potential wife, a person who is dating, should observe. So dating is not the time to be rubbing and scrubbing.
Hey.
And to be passionate and to kiss up and to hug up. I'm not saying you should not do it, but I'm saying these things cause you to be blind.
Yeah, it can cloud your judgment. Yeah.
Yes, you miss the red flag that this man is selfish. That this man does not understand what his responsibility is, that this man expects you to work like it was your curse. And then the rubbing and scrubbing in marriage slows down. And you meet the real person. This is gaslighting. It is the man's responsibility to work. And so that's a very good observation that you're bringing here. No. And that's a man running from his responsibility and trying to place it on a woman. And such a man, mom, if you're dating and you find that this is how he thinks, it is time for you to put that date on hold. Yes, he's handsome. Yes, I understand. Yes, he has an earring in both ears. Yes, he's muscular. He's tall, or whatever turns you on. But those things are not enough if this is how he thinks.
If I could quickly add, the manual actually says a virtuous woman who can find for her worth is far above rubies.
That's
so
right.
so it's your worth. It's man, you know, it's beyond man. That's powerful, man. That's really encouraging. Yeah.
And I want to say this because the whole world system, because of the mess that it's in, we encourage you to get an education so you can take care of yourself. Because you never know what might happen. Even in the case that a husband can die, go to jail, and you end up having to take care of yourself. So it is important to get an education. But getting that education and being equipped to work, mom, means that you have actually prepared yourself to take on the man's responsibility, not even yours. Because you will work now, and you will take care of the children, and you will feed the children and feed the household, sometimes while that man is out there, for lack of a better word, screwing another woman. And telling that woman he loves her, and he puts himself between that other woman's leg while you're at work, slaving yourself, taking care of his kids.
It's such a strong point coming across today, and I just want to make sure that we're clear in, like you were saying, encouraging women, you know, go get educated. You know, unless the household agrees that both work or whatever, you know, that's a different story. But I think what I hear you saying is that the mandate is on the man, and not the woman. It's optional if they choose for her to work or both parties work, depending on the various circumstances and all of that. But it's and again, we're speaking specifically to preparedness of women, but just so many strong points coming out that it's this a subtle calling, subtle but strong challenge in here to us as men and to men in our time to rise up, man. You know, it's time for us to rise and really fulfill our part, right? So yeah, I'm just catching these nuggets as they come out.
Yeah, and that's very good. You miss when you are taking on your husband's responsibility of working, and many families and homes today is almost like a must. You should only work because you want to. Then you become this manuals woman that they call, they like to speak about and say a Proverbs 33 woman. That's Proverbs a woman 31, that works because she, Proverbs 31, sorry, that's a woman because she wants to work. But we have women who have to work or everything will fall to the ground. And you, miss, will become a burnt out lady, a bitter lady, a tired lady. You will look like that man's little brother.
Man.
And then he will go and look for another woman because no man wants to be with his little brother in a relationship. But it's because you're so tired and beat, you might work harder than him and come home that way. So you need to look in preparing yourself. You need to prepare yourself and look for a man that understands that now we're both working. I take on your curse, and so you should take on my responsibilities and share them with me.
Yeah,
so
it's not sharing.
It's not I go to work and work for 8 hours, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 hours. So some work that women do, they are so taxing, so mentally draining. And they might still suffer sexual assaults on the job. Man. And I'm talking all different type of jobs. And so you go there, mommy, and you're working. And you come home now and you have to take care of the kids, because that's what a woman does. And I'm not saying this as a fact that I believe should happen. I'm just saying that's what that is the wide belief, and that is what is practiced. Because in all fairness, the woman would have been home while the man goes out to work. And so yes, she can do these things. But in today's society, the woman goes out and work, and she might be working harder than the male. And she comes home, she has to take care of the kids, help them with their homework. She has to cook. She has to wash up. She has to prepare for the next day. And that man might be out there playing ball and hanging out with his friends. Or he might be right at home with his foot up because he has finished working. That's the only job a man has. His foot is up and he's watching basketball, and the woman is there taking care of the kids. And now she's busted. And she was busted before she came home, tired. And now it's time for the king to have sex.
Yeah.
So you end up being, mommy, a sore woman, a bitter woman, a woman who is not ready to share herself with her husband, but he is ready to share himself. And so when you are choosing, one of the preparation that a woman needs to do is to find a man that understands that you are working and that was not your responsibility. So when we come home, I will help you to do your responsibility. We share it. I wash up. I empty the trash. I help the kids with their homework. I'm there.
You help with the laundry if you have to.
Yes. Yes, I will go and I will play ball. But I understand I only have an hour, or I only have this amount of time because I need to come home. My wife is not a maid. She did not get married to become a maid. And she's not only a maid, she's like a high-class maid, because now she not only does the job the maid does, but she goes separately and works and use her money to take care of the family. That's a luxurious maid. That's what men have. And so you'll find men looking nice and fancy, and women looking, I don't want to say like you just pull them out of the birth canal.
Yeah.
Why? Because we are stressing our women. We are tearing a woman down to cantankerous levels and dimensions.
Yeah. I think as I hear also, I think the important thing here, and I want to kind of get to the next point about. So I talked about observant and you're observant. A woman needs to be observant in preparing because of the great obligation that marriage brings, right? And I think in a great book I started to read called A Dating Key. Hint, hint. I loved how it opened with the picture of the eagles, which are some fascinating creatures, which are some animals that mate for life, which I like, right? There are some of these animals in the wild that mate for life, and among them are the eagles. And I think what the female does is she takes this branch and flies up, and if she has a male eagle in her sights, she tests him, right, with the branch, and goes high, and I think she takes that levels up the weight of the branch. She goes from a twig to maybe a branch, goes higher and higher, I think, until the branch is like maybe the weight of an eaglet. And she's testing the male to see if he will be able to catch and carry the weight from a certain height. And so I love that, because she wants to know that he can, and they can ride it out together, and the obligation ahead, that he can handle the obligation, and that she's testing him because she wants to know that, she knows that this is for life.
Right.
And I'm stressing this point in preparing, and I'm probably gonna echo it again when we deal with the men, because when we look at the divorce rate, which is it's growing, I think. And I wrestled for years with that whole thing with divorce and all of that. And
yeah,
what settled in my heart after a while was the importance of preparing people. That's why we're taking these couple sessions just on being prepared, because it's a obligation. And maybe, I don't know if obligation is too strong a word, but the commitment, I think, my brother, the commitment to marriage has been reduced, you know. The value and the gravity of marriage has been terribly reduced. This is just I'll try it out for a year. It's not that. There's more value and dynamic and purpose in marriage. And so when that female eagle tests the male, she's like, I'm testing you because I'm gonna ride it out with you. Right. I'm gonna be obligated to you. So dear sister listening, consider the obligation ahead, all right? As you observe and as you hold on to that perspective that you are a good thing.
that's right.
You know, yeah.
I agree with that greatly. And that story is very important. I thought of this earlier when it comes to, for example, prenuptial agreement. A prenuptial agreement is a preparation. No, I don't. I don't like it, but it's a preparation. Yes. A man or a woman who is rich knows that there might be somebody that loves you because you're rich. And so they come, and when I say love, I'm not talking about unconditional love here. I'm just talking, they love you because you're rich. They like you a lot because you're rich.
They lost you.
That's right. And so what that person does is that person creates a contract that when we break up, which is very likely to happen because we are preparing for this breakup before we even start. Man. When we break up, that means I don't trust you. When we break up, I want you to know that you won't get anything, or this is the only thing you will get. The country will not be able to step in because you have signed a paper agreeing that this is the only thing you will get, and these people get married. And I was thinking, how could I turn a prenuptial agreement into something that is right? Right. Because a prenuptial agreement seems wrong. You're getting married, and I am telling you from the beginning, you're not worth more than this. So you're going to sign for that before we become one. And I thought about it, and I said, you know, a nice way that could make a prenuptial agreement right would be to put a time on it. You cannot get anything from me until we have been married for 30 or 40 years. And that tells the person, I want to spend my life with you. That is the better part of my life. And the agreement is just to make sure that we stay together. So if it's money you're after, no problem. But you'll have to spend 40 years of your life with me for it. And if I'm talking from the man's point of view, then during that time, I will love you to the point that you will not want to leave. You will forget about this type of agreement, and we will live all our lives together because you're in heaven and you want to be with me. And so a man that puts up a prenuptial agreement is a scared man. He's a man that fears and values his possessions more than his wife, when it should be reversed. So a woman in preparing needs to see, if you go to a man and he has a prenuptial agreement, then let him go find somebody that wants money more than they want a relationship. Because there you can find tons of that. Then he can carry out his prenuptial agreement. So in being prepared, a woman needs to become a PI, a private investigator. You should investigate this man. I've heard men say, well, I have two women here. Well, they'll have to prove themselves to who is better. So wait, so this man is a king now? And you're all vying to see whether or not you can prove. Listen, If that is how you start your relationship, mom, with a male, you have started at a loss. You have already lost. If you have to prove yourself whether or not you are good enough for this man, whether or not you measure up, if that is how you start, you have chosen the wrong male. He should be the one vying for your attention. He should be the one trying to prove that he's capable of catching your twig. Thank you for that example earlier. So one of the things in being prepared, mom, is you need to be an investigator. You need to be a private investigator and a ruthless one. One that is not forgiving, because we're talking about facts here. Oh, he just killed his dog. He just killed his first wife. He just stabbed this one. He just, listen, don't be overlooking things that are paramount and excusing. Oh, he was just angry. Oh, she was bad to him. Listen, you're getting with a male. You check to see, you remember you're an investigator. Check to see what went wrong in his previous relationship. If you're his first, good. That's another, that you don't have to check for that. But if he was in a previous relationship, listen, all males believe they are perfect. I'm one of them. And if you check to see where their first relationship went wrong, it is rare you'll find that male saying, you know, I was a wretch. I was a whore. It is rare you'll find that male saying that. He's going to tell you how irritable his woman was, how she liked to quarrel, how she cheated on him, and he'll give you a list of things that will tell you how bad, and you'll feel like you're so special, miss, because now you can comfort him and you won't be like that bad woman. Hello? Hello? That should be a red flag for you. Check to see why that woman left. Listen to him, ask questions, investigate. Once that man had a previous relationship, and I'll tell you, they'll tell you how bad that person treated them, how worthless that person was to them in their behavior. This person was terrible and horrible. This woman was horrible to them. And this is why you find that the relationship did not work. Not because of anything. They were the perfect mate. They did everything right. And the woman was the one that was messed up. You know what I was thinking about earlier? You go to buy a car and you go on the dealership and you buy a brand new vehicle. This is what you are to a man, miss. You're a brand new vehicle. But a brand new vehicle in the hands of a drunkard is a mashed up vehicle. The brand new vehicle in the hands of a careless driver is a mashed up vehicle. The brand new vehicle in the hands of a man that is sleeping and driving is a mashed up vehicle. It doesn't matter how new it is, how good the brake system is, how much equipped it comes with an education. In the hands of a reckless driver, that vehicle is a mashed up vehicle. You can have a vehicle that is 90 years old in the hands of a careful owner. Not only driver now, but owner. A person that understands how to care for this machine. A person that understands how to read the gauges and to stop when the vehicle says it's running hot and to check why. That vehicle will last longer than a brand new car coming off the lot in the hands of a careless driver and owner. So the first thing I would say, you're an investigator. Next thing, you're an inspector. In a country, there are people called inspectors that whenever the rancher brings in his cattle and his meat, they go and they inspect the meat. They look for issues and problems and symptoms of problems and diseases.
Right.
They're going to inspect that meat. And if that meat is not good, they're not going to pass it. Take it back home, sir. And some of us need to be sent back. I will admit, when I got married to this current wife that I'm married to, and we got in a heated argument early on in the marriage. We were probably not even 3 years in, and she said, "You need to go back to your mother." She said, "I'm going to send you back to your mother." I was half baked. I was married and I should not even have a dog, but I had a wife. I could not even care for a dog. So this is another thing that a woman needs to be able to do to inspect. You don't want to wait until you're married, because when you're married, now that man is the person that will rule over you. That is not the time for you to try to change a man and to turn him into what you believe he should be. Who made you this great man trainer?
Yeah, which is another advice that's often submitted. You could, you could just train him. You can train him.
No, I'm sorry. No, you are not the trainer. He will despise you and he might hit you around the house. How dare you train a king? A king tells you what to do. You can barely get this man to go to counseling. And you want to say you're going to train him? Mom, the time to fix a marriage is before you get in it. I want to add some more words, and because I know we're running out of time. You, mommy, you are to be a critic. Be very critical. Know what you want and be critical about it. He doesn't have it. Tell him he needs to go back to the oven. Go back to mommy. Let mommy finish bake you. And in our fairness, I'm saying this just being I can't think of the word, but it's not mommy that should bake you. It's a daddy that should bake you. It's very hard for a woman to teach a man to be a husband because she's innate. She has been given that innate ability to be a woman, not a husband. You see? So you should be very, very, very critical, not rubbing and scrubbing, and not needing to be a good kisser. If this man believes that he will know if you're a good wife by the first kiss, run in the opposite direction. A woman needs to, in terms of observing, these are all principles that come under investigating, because that's the overarching word. The word investigation is a mother hen word that covers all else. You are not dating, mommy. You do not date to see if you're compatible with the man by romancing and hugging and this type of thing. The reason a woman should date is to observe and to investigate a man. So dating is more than just going to a restaurant. It is investigating a man. You want to see how this man treats women in his life. If this man hates his mom, you are up for something special, miss. Because you also happen to be a woman and he hates his mom. He cannot get along with his mom. See how this man gets along with women in his life. How does he treat his sister? What does his sister have to say about him? What does his mom have to say about him? You see, this might seem hard to deal with, but this is the same man later on, mommy, that will put his hand on you and do you bad things. So isn't it best for you to check to see what kind of man he is before you join with him? While you can do something about it. When you're dating, you are king, mommy. You can do something about it. You say, I do. And you know you're at a disadvantage. You want to make sure you're at a good disadvantage. So a woman should check how this man treats women in his life. You should check how this man behaves when he's triggered. One time I got angry when I was dating. I got so upset I was dropping my girlfriend at that time home, my wife now, but she was my girlfriend at that time. I was dropping her home and I wanted something. And I was driving and I could not get my own way. And I nearly pulled off the steering wheel of the car. She saw my reaction. You see? Now how does this man behave when he gets angry? Does he break up everything around him? Is this the kind of man that will punch his own father down? Is this the kind of man that will punch his mother down? These are people that he should honor and respect. And if he cannot honor and respect those that he should honor and respect, why should you honor and respect him? Because that is what is going to be required of you in marriage. Is this a man that is going to take the tools that he has and use them on you as if you are a machine? He's going to take a screwdriver and put it inside you? Or he's going to take a gun and instead of protect you, hurt you with that gun? What man are you getting? I'm going to say this, miss. you are a woman, and just at the beginning, you should not have to be working. You can work, and if it's needed to keep the family going, and you have to work, then I understand. And if you agree on this before relationship begin, before the marriage begin, the marriage relationship, fine. But I want you to know that if you have to work, you're being abused, because the meaning of abuse is anything that is used outside of its purpose is being abused. And according to the manufacturer, you are being abused. You should not have to work. You should work because you want to. You might be bored at home. And you are a person that you have a education, and you have these skills, and you want to sew, you want to do this, and you just do that because it's fun. Not because if you don't do that, your kids won't eat for a day. So you should not go in a relationship where you're being abused. This brings the next point out. Do you have a man that likes to work? Your man should be a person that has a job. If you are getting a man and he does not have a job, then you should leave that man where he is. Or let that man leave you where you are with your mother and your father, or in your own house. You don't have a job, you should not be looking for a date. And these are things that you should be looking for. Another thing a man should have that you're investigating. Listen to how he speaks. Are you going to go and live with this man's parents? When you live with this man's parents, or this man come and live with your parents, that's a recipe for disaster. Because mother-in-laws and father-in-laws, they like to get inside of your business.
Yeah, there are no boundaries at all, boy.
There are no boundaries, and you did not create any because you're living in their house. So if that man does not have his own place, or a job that he can have his own place to rent, what are you doing with that man? Because if you go to his parents' house, he will be more important than you to his parents, and you'll be treated as an outsider. Any issue you have, any argument you have, you'll be treated as an outsider. They will tell you what to do, mommy, because you're inside their house. If you want to have a family, have your own house that you can do what you need to do in your house. So if this man is going to take you, he's not prepared, he's not equipped enough, he can't get a job yet, or he's not making enough to be able to rent a house and take care of you, he's not properly baked, mommy, please let him stay where he is and you stay where you are. You're better off without him.
Yeah, I think the principle of in the manual of a man leaving his father and mother is very key here. That just to stick a point quickly here for both male and female, is that when we become married and we join with someone, this is now our primary family. And what was first our primary becomes our secondary, which is a tough thing for many people to swallow. That doesn't mean we're outcasting our family. It's just that the priority has changed and the order has changed, and you now have a priority of primary family, which is your wife and your kids.
That's right.
And as well as for in-laws, whether you're brother-in-law, sister-in-law, father, mother, whatever, there's a dynamic in there for you to grab and apply as well, that now your kids are no more obligated to you first. It doesn't mean they'll cast you by the wayside, okay?
Yeah.
But so just wanted to throw that in there.
That is very good. I know I've been going on for a while, so I'll try to say a couple more things. But first, I must agree with you that this is another place that a woman needs to prepare. In preparing, you're preparing yourself to inspect these things. That's what you're preparing for. You're equipping yourself. So a private investigator will go out and spend countless money in buying tools. He will take a gun and practice to shoot it, whatsoever, or he'll take a camera and practice to take pictures. You're practicing, and from you're a child, you should be practicing on how to investigate. Not how to follow these stupid movies and these stupid songs that we sing, that lets you, instead of having a brain in your head, you have stars in your eyes.
And you're looking
and you're looking at this man mist with stars in your eyes. That tells me that you are going to make a very, very poor process decision, because you see a star. You have already.
That's good. Go ahead. Go ahead.
You have already lost. You should not have a star in your eye. You should have a brains in your eye. And you're looking and checking. So one of the things that you should be checking, and I have to agree with you, Shane, is you have to look for this man's understanding of priority. When he marries you, will it be his mom that is his priority? That he will love more than you? Will he love his kids more than you? Who will be with him after his kids get of age and marry off? Then he'll still love them more than you? Where are you in his priority? And if you are not his number one priority, with the only one above you being the manufacturer, that's okay to have the manufacturer as your number one priority. But if that is not your number one should be a wife.
Yeah.
And if the manufacturer is your number one priority, then your number two priority should be a wife, not your kids, not your mom. Your wife should be your number two priority, if not your number one. And so you should be observing this. You should be investigating this. Find a way to test him to see what he believes, because you're marrying a belief system. What does he believe is the proper priority for a husband? He'll always love his mom more. Good. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead and stay with your mom. I'll stay with mine. And until I find someone that will love me in the right priority. So I'm going to say this to sort of close here. Check whether or not this man is selfish. So he comes and tells you he loves you and he wants to date you. And so he says, let's go with me to this restaurant. And when you get to the restaurant, he says, you pay half and I pay half. Mommy, I encourage you, take finance on your date. Don't go empty-handed. Pay the half. And after you pay the half, catch your own taxi and go home. Because next you have to pay half of the taxi. Catch your taxi and go home and tell him thanks for spending his time with you. And don't call you. I'm going to block your number, sir. Don't call me again. Let him find someone else that he can be selfish with. Do not marry a selfish man. The meaning of love is being unselfish. Do not marry a selfish man. And the last thing that I would like to say to you in being prepared, not that I believe we have exhausted the list, but the last thing I'd like to say to you, mommy, please, I'm begging you, do not fall in love, especially during dating. Do not fall in love. One of the ways you can prepare yourself is prepare yourself to understand you keep love locked away in a cage. Do not fall in love. Fall in investigating. Fall into inspecting. Fall into criticizing. Do not fall in love. Let me remind you that the manufacturer nowhere in the manual says to a woman to love her husband the way that he loved his people, and to be willing to die and to give herself for her husband. Nowhere in the manual says that. Nowhere. So not even a manufacturer requires for you to fall. It is okay for you to love your husband, but not even a manufacturer requires this of you. So please do not fall in love, neither in dating and not even in marriage. You can love if you want, but you don't have to. Your responsibility is to respect your man and to submit to your man and obey your man. That is what the manual calls for, not for you to fall in love with your man. And I would like to end with that.
Man, so I want to share one probably a thought and a moment of transparency as we end, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So I the thought that I want to share, you talked about not her not seeing stars, but thinking more soberly, more concretely, having using her mind. I remember I remember talking to a young lady one time in terms of when you see a young man who is maybe gifted in an area, maybe gifted in preaching or in music, whatever it is, and he's on a platform. When somebody's on a platform being effective, we tend to apply that effectiveness to every area of life immediately. It's not something that that we tend to do. You know, if I see Mr. Arthurs dribbling and can 3-point, and I automatically think he's great at everything.
Yeah.
But he's effective. Maybe he put in the time on the court in this era. And so what I said to her, I said, listen, I know there's nothing wrong that you're attracted to success and somebody that's strong. That's not wrong. But I want you to think beyond. And I'm using the context of maybe a pastor or a preacher. I said, I need you, so you're attracted, but I want you to think about life with this man beyond the stage.
Yeah, nice.
I want you to think about the times he's exhausted. I want you to think about the times he may be frustrated. I want you to know that this isn't every area of his life that you're seeing on this stage. And so I just wanted to add that simple example that I always counsel. And it's coming back to when we're talking about the importance of the session of preparedness, because we you know, and maybe I've said this before, but I've sat with some people for a time extensively with the manual, trying to paint a picture for them of marriage, so that they could understand. It's not to discourage, but to encourage you to make an informed decision as best as possible.
That's right.
Because, you know, because that same fly young man, are you prepared to deal with certain things? Because you raised some very interesting point, which kind of brings me to the next moment of transparency. But you raised some important points. There are some things you need to look out for and observe. But I also want to say and encourage that and I gave this other advice to somebody. She to I guess maybe you could agree or disagree here, but I do think maybe there are some areas for both the male and the female that will continue to grow after marriage. I don't know if you agree with that or not, but because we're humans and we're continuing in our growth, right? And I think marriage helps to if it's done correctly and pursued rightly, it continues to foster growth in various areas. And so I think my moment of transparency is so when my wife and I met, I was not working. I was not at that time. But since then though, I've had various opportunities to bring an income, and some more substantial ones are opening up now. But so I just wanted to say that definitely, because you raised some very important points that I fully agree with, that the men, we have to rise. A woman, look out for these things. But at the same time, I guess my thought kind of goes to a question with is there a place for that woman, or what do you think? And I want us to end here with this though. What do you think about women observing potential in men? Is that a thing? Is that something? Is that fair? Is that something that they should look for? What do you think about that as we come down? Let's say they don't meet everything that we've discussed today, but there is potential. What do you think about that? Do you think that applies? Is that wise? Is that something they should stay away from? What do you say to that? That's a question as we end.
I greatly appreciate that question, and also the topic that you mentioned there in terms of growth after marriage and looking at the person on the stage. This is something that happens with people a lot, where they look at stars on the stage, and because the star can dance or they can sing, then people get stars in their eyes. And so I agree with that. And it reminds me of a mechanic. And this is how you should think of marriage. Not because you go to a mechanic and he repairs your car, and it might be a fluke repair. Right? It might be something that he's well versed in. We have mechanics that are very good on certain mechanical aspects of the car,
Mm-hmm.
but they have not a clue of diagnostics. So if it's to change something mechanical, a wheel bearing, a water pump, they are very good at that. And many people get hurt and spend a lot of money with mechanics where they go and take their car. And because they were good at repairing a braking system, they take the car to them when the car is unable to start. And they think because the mechanic was good at the braking system, he's now good at the complete vehicle. But they did not do their homework. And this mechanic might not have any idea. He's not a diagnostic technician. And so they get in trouble because they mistook that gift that that person is trained in and equipped in, assuming that it covers everything. And assumption breaks down to some very bad words.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you don't want to be there assuming for marriage because your life is involved. So that question of whether or not somebody can grow after marriage and whether you should deal with potential. If you can see potential, seeing potential, there's nothing wrong to see potential. That is very good. I remember buying a keyboard. I bought a Roland Phantom with the potential that it was going to have. And when I got this board, they made all sort of promises. So some technicians came on the air and they promised they are going to do updates and this thing has this polyphony and that polyphony. And I bought it based on their words. Came to realize that those were words.
Oh, man.
They did some updates, yes. The keyboard is a very good keyboard, can do many things, but the potential that I bought it for, up to now, it has not realized that potential. You see? So you don't purchase equipment based on potential. And why would you purchase a husband based on potential?
Right.
You wait until he has accessed that potential. And then you join with him. So now the question of do we grow in marriage? Of course we grow. And nobody is perfect. And we all will go in marriage. But let me ask you this question. You want to go from here to the States. And you found a young man that he's very good in video games, in flight simulation video games. And he has the potential to fly that plane. So he has no experience, no training. Nobody taught him how to fly the plane. But he's self-taught. You know, he looked at a couple of videos. He had a chance to see a couple of pilots. They allowed him to go in the cockpit and see what they did, you know. But he has no training. But he has great potential. He loves it. His motor controls, the way he controls his hand and his ability to consume the information is amazing. He has potential. He has never flown a jet in his life before. But he has the potential. Would you jump in that jet, sir?
If I had a choice, no.
If you had a choice, no. Well, women have a choice.
That's
and
right.
you don't jump in based on potential and on the ability to grow during marriage. No, there will be growth. I am still growing and I believe you are still growing. But you are married. I am married. But we are still growing. So there will be growth after marriage. What we are speaking about here is a minimum potential requirement.
All right. I like that.
Not potential requirement either. A minimum requirement that it's mandatory that you should have this.
I love that.
So
I love that.
A person that will fly that same jet plane or a pilot that will fly a military plane has to be a certain age. They have to have so much hours of flying.
Been trained. That's
they have to have this amount of training. And there's it is just simple common sense. And women, you need to apply simple common sense.
How much more the airplane or marriage, right?
How much more the marriage than an airplane? You see? Because right now we are giving the airplane more. Understanding that we are putting lives in danger. And this person is responsible for life. So how much more in marriage that, yes, you have potential, but you see this amount of things that you have potential for, when you cross this threshold, and that's why in the dating key, I think it's on my left there, or my right. But in that book, it is encouraged that you should not date a person until they are 60% ready for marriage, not for dating, you know. which means the things we mentioned here, that person has a house, that person has a job, that person understands how to treat women, that person understands 60% ready for marriage, not ready for dating. That's why there's a criteria set before you get into dating with this person. If this person is in school and his mommy is paying for his classes and his mommy is feeding him, what business you have miss dating this man? He can't even take care of himself. He's half big. And I guess I need to stop there. But yeah, nothing is wrong with potential. That is very good. Everybody has potential. I don't think there's a human being on earth that doesn't have potential. But then we still take people to training. Before you get on the job, you take training. That's why you go to school. Is to exercise and learn your potential and then bring your potential to life.
To fruition and productivity.
Fruition.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. No, I think you landed in such a great place with that example of the plane and bringing it back to marriage.
I see what you're doing there. You landed in such a great place with the plane. You know, takeoff and landing is the most critical. So I get you.
You landed in a great place. The flight landed great today. It was a transatlantic flight today, ladies and gentlemen. If you notice, it went a little longer, but the longer you fly, the greater the destination, right? And so we appreciate you for hopping on Marriage Matters Airlines today. We are your pilots, Shane and Mr. Arthurs, and thanks for joining. Until next time. All right.